What's going on, you guys? Jay here and welcome back to the channel. So with all of this burning that's going on, it's getting me very excited. We've got so many things to go through here on the channel. There's just not enough minutes in the videos at this point. So I do try to keep things as crunched down as possible whilst trying to maintain that core message that comes with each video. So I would appreciate it if you smash the like button, drop a comment on the way out, hit the notifications bell and subscribe if you haven't already. My aim during this video is to show everybody just how successful the burn narrative is and how it propelled Shib into the stratosphere and has kept them in that top 20 crypto range, with them currently sitting at rank 13, with around 589 trillion coins still circulating and around a $8 billion market cap if we're rounding it up. So this leaves us with a lot of questions as to how did they do it? Did the burning really help? And what was the timeline when it came to those events? And throughout this video, I hope it starts to help those who are a little bit uncertain as to what burning can actually do when we go and we take a look at what is actually most reported on when it comes to the Shiba Inu token. We're primarily presented with the burn narrative, and it's still strong to this day, as we can see here over on Crypto News, which really routes together all of the news platforms and brings it into one simple flow. We can see that everything just revolves around Shib burning. If we flick over now to Google and just do a basic search of Shib burn, we're presented with so many news articles. There is no lack when it comes to the burn narrative over on Shib, and it is still used to propel the engine to this day. I think the reason why the burn narrative actually does so well is because of its simplicity and that people actually understand it, they're not scared of it, and they're able to go out and shill. That simplicity and understanding leads each user to then go on and explain it to the next person, and then the next person gets involved and they explain it to somebody else, and that burn narrative of chain cause and effect really begins to kick in. That simplicity actually pays off even more when it comes to consensus agreeing on the outcome of a scenario. And when we actually look at what goes on LUNC, when a lot of technical jargon is brought forward that's going to create divides in the community, we end up with a consensus that's 50-50, sometimes 75%, 25%, sometimes 50%, 25%, 25%. What is important there is this technical jargon leads people to either disagree, agree, or simply not understand it and become scared of even being involved with this blockchain because they're fearful of what they don't understand. So don't take my word for it. Let's ask some AI. Let's ask ChatGPT what it thinks stands out as the key driving factors behind Shiba Inu's success. And the main thing here that stands out to me is the burn mechanism and tokenomics. When we look at the listings on major exchanges, LUNC has those. We have community engagement, we have marketing, because we have dedicated YouTubers like me who produce nothing but LUNC content on the regular. Meme coins, we are a layer 1 chain. We could quite easily house millions of meme coins because we are a layer 1 chain. That's what meme coins build off of. When we take a look at celebrity and influencer endorsements, LUNC is definitely checking those boxes. And we've got Binance as the biggest custodial holder for USTC and LUNC, alongside being the #1 burner and burning each and every month without fail a substantial amount of LUNC. So you can see how well we could do with the burn narrative. We can see how successful Shib has been utilizing this going forward. But what we need to actually understand here is this timeline that I've been speaking about. Shiba Inu was created in August 2020 by an anonymous group using the pseudonym Ryoshi. Between August 2020 and May 2021, there's nothing significant that happens until Ryoshi airdrops almost half of Shib's total circulating supply to Vitalik Buterin. He then goes ahead and actually just burns his portion, stating that he doesn't want the power. So you would initially think this is what sent the price spiraling out of control. It didn't, and it has a more stabilizing effect. What we start to see is the feeding of that burn narrative, the idea that lots of coins have just been destroyed and there's going to be price pressure. There's going to be a huge amount of scarcity that kicks in as that narrative really begins to kick in, and not only holders sharing that information, we also see major news outlets also feeding into the narrative. And as more articles roll in, the price of Shib skyrockets even harder. And since then, Shib has managed to retain its position in the top 20 cryptos simply off of a burn narrative. We do start to see the fizzling out of price, and I really think this is down to just not having the infrastructure for the amount of people that came in at the time, and they're still trying to build that infrastructure out to this day. Luna Classic doesn't have that problem. All of the infrastructure's there. If you want to come build, develop, burn, do whatever you want to do, you can, and there's absolutely no restrictions when it comes down to the level of integration that you can have. You can build a validator, you can stake your coins, you can earn LUNC and USTC. We have our own wallet infrastructure. There's masses of people already here. So when I look at this halving cycle and I really think about what is probably going to be the most attractive thing that people flocking in can actually understand and not become fearful of because they're confused by it, then we really would look to the burn narrative. It seems to be tried and tested. It's something that everybody can agree on as a consensus. It really does seem like when you start to introduce all of the technical jargon, we get a lot of confusion and we lose the masses. And although we end up with a very core user and community base that have a very strong understanding of the ecosystem, we also lose that other 99% of crypto investors. And yes, they're going to be people that are simply not interested in utility, in technical jargon, in all of the crazy different things that you can build. They're simply going to be interested in what they understand. And the human mind and psyche just simply seems to understand burning. They want to talk about it. They want to show their friends. They want everybody to understand what they know and what they believe burning is all about. We then start to see YouTubers covering the burns. We start to see more media coverage on the burns, and the technical jargon just gets left as jargon. And it's all good and well. And what everybody needs to understand is our chain is huge and it has enough space for a million ideas at this point, and we can still go and build the utility. We can still have our GameFi sector. I can still go ahead and continue with my Unreal 5 engine game that's interwoven into LUNC and only uses it as a use case. But people are only going to be interested in that once it is produced on a mass scale and they can actually go in and just play it. They're not listening to someone go, well, yeah, it's going to be available in 5 years. We're going to have to deploy it. We're going to have to develop it. We've got to do all of the ins and outs. They lose interest. Whereas when we start to talk about burning, we've got all of this burning going on. Boom, you've got their attention, they're hooked, they're line, and they are sunk, and you're reeling them in, and they want to be part of that community. They start to feel like they want to burn themselves. We start to see burn coins spinning up as we've seen previously, and what we're going to need moving into this halving cycle is a strong narrative. And yes, the burn narrative seems to fit the bill, and when it comes down to LUNC and Shiba Inu, they really do have a very similar ecosystem. They have very similar concepts and communities. And this video is not about LUNC versus Shib. This is actually about LUNC looking to Shib as a role model as to what we should do moving forward. And what we need to do is commit to what has always been consistent. I could almost guarantee around 50 to 60% of our user base is here primarily because of burning. The whole reason why everybody here on the channel got involved with the channel was because of burning, and we've lost our path. And although we've got all of these great developers coming up with all of these amazing ideas and we get these bug fixes and nobody cares, They don't understand it. It confuses them. We are living in a world where people barely understand how to get your coins from CEX to a on-chain wallet. We've got people that don't understand the basic concept of how our blockchain works because they don't care. They care about burning, they care about gains, and collectively together we can do this. With Binance at our back, we have got a substantial upper hand. We've got an ace card, so to speak. This is something that Shiba Inu never had. And something else that's really important is putting the timeline around the BTC halving dates. And what we can see is our chain has not seen a halving event because we were birthed from the crash. We have a new chart. So we're the new chain, so to speak. So therefore, we haven't seen that halving cycle. And I can tell you something, we've got a stronger narrative than any other coin out there. And what we really need on this chain is to utilize our superpower that's been in front of us this whole time. Because believe me now, Shiba Inu are going to be utilizing the burn narrative to draw in the majority of their new holders during this halving cycle. And when we start to do a little bit of a stat match here, LUNC has a 5.73 trillion circulating supply. And when we flick over and we look at Shib, it has around a 583 trillion circulating supply. From a business and marketing perspective, these two numbers tell me one thing. If a new holder getting involved in crypto is to see Shiba Inu and then LUNC, what is the more logical choice? Do you go for the chain that has a 583 trillion circulating supply and a burn narrative? Or do you go for the chain that has 5.73 trillion circulating supply and a burn narrative? That provides far more utility use case if you are to become interested in developing. Then we produce our ace, our sleight of hand, and we show people that we have the biggest CX in crypto burning each and every month without fail. We show them that they are the biggest custodial holder when it comes to LUNC and USTC. We show them that Binance is the top burner and they are heavily committed to the narrative. My biggest fear is that Shib is going to be the center point around people getting involved in crypto that get hooked on the burn narrative because of its simplicity and the ability to actually understand it. Meanwhile, over on LUNC, we're all caught up in chain politics, technical jargon, and silly little bug fixes that aren't bringing in new holders. When it comes down to Shib's price action and user retention, it was relatively high, and that's why they've managed to retain a near $8 billion market cap in one of the worst bear markets that we've ever seen. As you saw from that overlay timeline earlier, it doesn't rocket off straight away. Instead, what we actually see is a relatively stable period form where it just tracks sideways, and then we eventually see a huge move upwards, forming a very nice bull flag and then pulsing all the way up and topping out before that eventual clawback. And the reason why I think that clawback came in, like I was saying, is all down to having the infrastructure there for people. And what LUNC provides is a consistent amount of rewards, a consistent amount of burns that are actually programmed at this point. They happen each and every month. Although here at the end of the video, it may feel a little bit like LUNC versus Shib, it's not. This is just a situation of fair game during this halving cycle, and it's simply just going to be a situation where holders are probably going to be choosing between the LUNC chain's burn narrative and the Shiba Inu burn narrative. If we do our utmost best as a consensus to agree on what's happening currently with these burns, it's really going to help our case. If we fully adopt this burn narrative, we could see broad coverage on everything that is going on. We could see coverage of all of the TFL burns that are coming in. We could see more coverage on the Binance burns. We could see a lot more people flock here before the halving cycle really does kick in. We could see a mass influx of new users during that massive pump that we're inevitably going to see. And this is what I've aimed to show everybody throughout this video. We can see from Shiba Inu's history that the impact of substantial burns are not instant. Instead, it ushered in a stabilization period, which then led to major pumps a considerable amount of time later. But throughout all of that time, we saw a huge amount of coverage, and we're just not seeing that level of adoption over here on LUNC, with a lot of the validators simply just turning their noses up at it and saying to themselves, oh, it's not going to do anything, completely ignoring all of those macroeconomic circumstances that come into effect, alongside all of the ins and outs and historical data of how things have previously gone down for other chains. So I hope you've managed to get some useful information in this rather long-winded video. It's not easy, like I've been saying, getting everything crushed down into an 8-minute video. Let me know in the comment section if you prefer long format or if you prefer a shorter format. Aside that, just stay safe, stay humble, stay aware, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.